And we are live. Hey there, everyone. My name is Hitesh, and welcome to the YouTube channel. Recently, I renamed my channel name as Hitesh Code Labs. And on this channel, we talk all related to the tech, what's happening new, and how you can learn that, how you can code along with Matt. There are so many tutorials here on this channel. But today, we are bringing in some guests to get some industry perspective as well. Today with me, we are really happy to have the founders of Hashnode. Hashnode is a platform where you can share your knowledge in the blog format. It's the center hub for every single developers to share their knowledge, writing articles. It's really a very vibrant community out there. So I've been friend with the Hashnode founders since probably the day one launch of the Hashnode. We have worked together, we have hosted hackathons, had some all the fun going on. So I thought, let's bring them in and talk about the AI impact which is happening all around the places. Of course, I do have my thoughts as well, but having some of the thoughts from the founders themselves who are working in a startup, building products every day, lying centered around the community where the developers are hanging out, as well as having their own funded startup. Hashnode is a name which needs no introduction. So I thought let's bring them in, have a discussion around what the AI is, how they see it rising up, how this is helping them in building the products and helping or taking care of the things which are already in the production line. It's going to be a fun discussion, and I'm pretty sure you're going to learn so many things in that. And in the later half of the live stream, we are also going to discuss about the system designs of a new product that they have built and how they thought about it, how the system design goes on, what the technical details that goes on, and AIs and whole lot of stuff. So it's going to be a fun one. Make sure you share this with all of your friends and colleagues. Invite them up in the live stream. We'll be taking questions from the chats as well in between, as well as at the end as well. So without a further ado, let me introduce you one by one to the founders of the Hashnode. And first of all, let me bring in Fazal. Hey Fazal, how are you?
Hey Hitesh, all good. How are you doing?
Good. I also have the same exact T-shirt. I should have wore that, but again, it would look too much branding there. I don't want to do that. It's just a friendly stream that we started up here. So, by the way, good T-shirts you have sent me up as well. Thank you so much for that.
I'm glad you're liking it. We have a fresh lot of new design t-shirt, so we can send that your way as well.
Send me in. Send me in. So, how's it going on? How is Hashnode now? Where you are, current statistics? A little bit show off. How many users are there? How many blogs you are getting every day? A little on that.
Sure thing. So, hey everyone, I am Fazal. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Hashnode. I started as a product designer, but later eventually transitioned into running a business. So, I am a pseudo designer and pseudo coder today. So Hashnode, as you all know, is one of the most prominent developer publishing platform today. We have recently crossed 4 million monthly active users, and it is at scale. This is all organic word of mouth growth. We haven't spent any money on marketing yet. So it's pure organic growth that we are seeing on Hashnode. Developers join the platform, create their own personal blog, start writing articles, enjoy the whole experience, connect it with GitHub, and then later share it with their friends. So that's how we acquire newer audience to the platform today. So in terms of scale, if you can visualize it, last quarter alone, we had over 300,000 new articles published on the platform. So that's how big we have grown in the last 3.5 years.
Oh man, that's pretty big. Let me also introduce you to another team member here, Sandeep. And by the way, a nice t-shirt from the North Face, really good. I recently was there in Norway and Iceland, so I found this really interesting, the North Face. It's not really available in all the places, but hey, every single time I talk to Sandeep or ping him, he's usually in the US. Surprisingly, he is currently in India. Hey Sandeep, how's it going on?
It is finally glad to be here, and hi everyone. Super excited to be here. Yeah, and I unfortunately don't have my Hashnode T-shirt, so I'm not able to show off. But yeah, it is what it is.
So how's it going on, Sandeep? What do you do at Hashnode?
Yeah, so I'm the co-founder of Hashnode, and I look after the tech. Like Fazal said, he looks after the design aspects, and I mostly work on the tech. And if the site doesn't work as you intend it to be, and the performance is bad, then probably I'm to blame. But I hope that's not the case. Uh, but yeah. super fun, super cool to be here.
Oh man. So we'll start the conversation directly. We'll not beat around the bush. We'll directly go with the AI, and I definitely will go no stone unturned. Have you tried the recent model of the Chat GPT?
Yep, yep. I have been trying it out, and beyond
First
the
thought,
regular,
first
yeah,
raw thought on that. How is it?
I I think it's pretty good. I try it on a bunch of coding questions where I would like it to think a little bit before answering. I could see some improvement, but I wouldn't say it's basically hell and heaven difference. But still, wherever you want it to think a little bit before it can produce some answer, I definitely saw some improvements on that. But I've not used it a lot, so I cannot comment on how what exactly is the difference. But I definitely have asked it some questions beyond the regular strawberry questions.
The strawberry is popular, man. The strawberry. Even when I made the video, there was a strawberry in the thumbnail as well. So
Yeah.
I would say, like, my personal thought on this one is that now the improvements are very minor. They are in such a minute level that even professionals have to dig in and figure out that is it an impact there, because we have hit almost the peak of it, and it was a very fast peak on the LLMs and the Chat GPT. The transformer is the whole thing. The whole paper of attention is all you need. That started the whole thing, a research paper, and then we are seeing so much of the progress in the. What do you think about Sandeep? Since you are technical, I'll ask what code editor you use day to day as of now.
I just use VS Code with Copilot.
Okay, with the VS Code, and you are on the Copilot. What do you think? There is a race going on. First, it was a race of designing the extensions.
Yeah,
Now, people have figured out extension are not cutting it through. We have to wait quite a lot for the VS Code to ship the things that we really need so that our LLM can work there. So we saw Cursor AI making hype all around the Twitter. You are also active on the Twitter. We also saw that recently. Super
right.
Maven also raised funds. It's not out yet in public, I guess, but they have raised the funds to launch their own editors. Zed
Yeah,
is also there. A whole lot of. So, what do you
yeah.
think is where we are moving in that direction?
I think we also saw the Void, which is the open source cursor
Yeah,
alternative, right?
yeah.
So we tweeted the other day that we used to have Atom, and from Atom we had VS Code, right? And now we have VS Code with GitHub Copilot. Then we have Cursor. Then we have an open source alternative to Cursor, Void. So it's crazy. It's crazy, but I think. Uh, I am personally, if you ask me, I'm pretty happy with VS Code plus GitHub Copilot combo. And we have bought the Copilot licenses for all of our teammates, and everyone is just using Copilot a lot these days. And I also know that some of our team members also are trying out Cursor, because primarily I think the biggest benefit of Cursor is that you have access to wide range of models as opposed to VS Code plus Copilot. I think that is something that our team members are really excited about, especially the integration of Cursor plus Cloud 3.5 Sonnet. That seems to be a really powerful combo. But I think eventually we might see a lot of this open source alternative to closed source solutions like Cursor, primarily because as more and more people use them, more and more enterprises use them, they will probably worry about data privacy a lot. I also know that a lot of enterprises do not allow their employees to use Copilot inside their team, primarily because of this data privacy concerns. So anyone who can solve that through open source LLMs like Llama 3.5, either running at the edge or maybe in a secure cloud, that will probably have a lot of impact, and they can actually get a lot of enterprises to use them. In my opinion, that's eventually going to be the future.
That's one of my friends are actually solving them. So I do have a friend, Savo. He is the
Yeah.
founder of Pieces. He's solving the exact same problem. Yeah, he is
Yeah.
a fantastic fellow. But one thing I can say here is that okay, this makes it absolutely clear that the organization, if at the scale of Hashnode, is buying licenses for all of their employees. I think it openly says it out loud that AI is here. So all those people who have been avoiding AI to be used in their code editors, I think there's
Yeah.
no point of it now. Get habitual, just like we have been using IntelliSense in the VS Code. It's like IntelliSense on superpowers. So
Yeah.
go ahead, get
Yeah.
accustomed to hitting the tabs now, and which one to hit. That's the question. Which one is the right tab to hit, and when to hit that? That's good. So I'm
Yes.
also curious about. You have recently migrated, not migrated, but you have launched a new segment of the product as well. So Hashnode is already popular. I love your editor, by the way. You have nailed it down. How good that is. I'm absolutely awe in that. And obviously, it made a gradual transition that you guys also give us the docs as well. Uh, the blogs were already on the Hashnode for a lot of corporates, and now it's time that the docs also look equally beautiful as the Hashnode looks. Right now, the docs are in a horrible condition. The Swagger docs, I absolutely hate it. One of my open source project, free API, that is also totally on Swagger. I absolutely hate the UI. I absolutely hate the user experience as well. But I don't have much of the options to actually use it and work on it. What I think is, if you are a developer product and you have really bad documentation of API, you are sabotaging your product intentionally. That's what I feel. And what a
Yeah.
lot of people don't understand, that the documentation should be a number one goal, because that is your customer acquisition page. No developer is going to buy your product or even try to use your developer product if you have bad documentation. I need to know all that's happening in the API. What are the endpoints that I can hit? What can I expect? What can I send data to those endpoints? What can I expect back in the data endpoint? And further, if you can give me samples with Node or with PHP, with Ruby, that is when I will start to use your product. And
Yeah.
turns out it's a nightmare space right now. And apart from couple of people, nobody has nailed down the documentation yet. I have even seen that some people deploy just directly their Postman collection and says, this is the documentation. You figure it out. And I have worked with them. It was such a painful thing. So what made you think to gradually move or have a new product? Because docs and blog, I can see it, they sync it, but most of the people think, hey, they are completely different segment. What made you think about it that I want to solve this problem now? Docs should be the next target.
Yeah, I can go ahead. So Hitesh, last year, towards Q4, Sandeep and I, we were in San Francisco and in the Bay Area, and we were talking to a lot of folks. There were startup founders, there were some big enterprise team members as well. And one thing we realized that documentation is broken today. So there are a lot of popular tools out there. For example, there is README and there is Gitbook. Then there are open source tools like Docuseras as well. So we started talking to them, and we realized that when a company or a project starts, that they go ahead, they start with README and they start with Gitbook, and then they deploy it on their website. But eventually, as the project scales, then that's where the story starts becoming more interesting. Their API docs start linking to a completely different website, like for example, Swagger API reference. The documentation is becomes a nightmare to deploy because it's a Docuseras powered documentation. And when a company starts, it's just two founder maintaining Docuseras. But as companies scale, there are various different team members. There are DevRels, there are marketing folks, there are salespeople, and there are various other folks who want to contribute to documentation, right? And for them, in order to fix a simple spelling error, they have to ask a developer to raise a PR, go through the build time, and that takes 4 days of time. And this is how the Docuseras experience looks like, right? And so we thought that, hey, we have built a really nice collaborative editing experience on Hashnode. There is a writing editor which is at par with Notion and Google Docs, and we have this whole multi-tenant system which allows developers to host a blog on their own custom domain and subdomain. Plus, we also have this headless mode setup where companies can build a completely customized UX
Oh,
for their own blog.
we'll come on to the headless. You have started a trend,
Yes.
man. Headless. We will definitely come on separate section on that. Keep that on the side.
Yes.
You have started a
Yeah.
trend,
So
man.
Yeah, definitely. So when we realized that we have all the tools, then we started doing some user case studies. We started talking to some folks, and we asked them questions like, "Hey, if would it be interesting if we allow your team members to come to Hashnode, collaborate on a project, write documentation as if they're writing a Notion document, and then they hit publish, and it goes straight to your website, which looks more like a part of your main product or main website. It doesn't look alien to your main website." So when we started getting positive responses, that's when we started building this internal project internally. This was early this year. We built a small prototype. Half of the team started working on this. We got in a few customers in the private beta stage. They loved the whole experience. They asked us for many different features like GitHub sync, and we realized we already have GitHub sync, so just bring that to the documentation. They asked us for, again, headless mode. I simply can't stop myself from mentioning headless mode. So they asked us for headless mode, and we said, "Here you go." Right. So we kept building and we kept adding more and more feature, eventually leading to uh, today, where we have made the whole documentation product go live. And our philosophy here is straightforward, that we are building a gold standard for API reference and product documentation. You're a two-member team, go use the hosted version. You scale, you exit the hosted version, go headless, start building your own custom components. What we are doing here is we are taking the teams from 0 to 1 on day one itself. They don't have to build the whole documentation infrastructure in-house. There is no upkeep, there is no maintenance for the whole documentation infrastructure. But when companies are at scale, they are looking for all the other solutions like custom MDX component, headless mode. The design team wants to add a layer of their own design component system. So all of those things are possible now with Hashnode Docs.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on that part. So I was recently consulting to one of the big tech company, and my first recommendation to them was that it is now compulsory. Just like every big large scale company need to have a social media team these days. If you don't understand that part of marketing, you won't be succeeding. You need to have a social media team. But if you are a tech product, you need to have a documentation team. It cannot be your developers. If you really want it to succeed, you need to have, because your developers are constantly building, and it's not like you can hire a team for 3 months, 2 months. It's a whole new job segment itself, where you need to have a team that at least need to have one tech friendly guy and one content writer, because the developers will be writing the API part, what data needs to go in, what data needs to go out, but there needs to be a content writer, which is kind of a DevRel kind of a role, which understands the public, what they are coming up here to look for it, and what the developer is trying to say it. And you need a combination of that in your team. If you don't have this content writing team, your tech product is bound to fail. You have worked really hard on the features, but nobody knows how to use that feature. There are so many products in the market already which are really good, which have the API, and they want your customers to use their API, but nobody can use them because you just thought they'll figure out. Nobody is here to figure it out. Everybody needs a hand holding, everybody needs a walkthrough of it, and then only you can onboard the customer. So my number one recommendation in any consulting these days is get a content team. That is the step one. And then get your documentation organized until unless no new feature needs to be built. Because what you are building for, nobody is using it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that's really important. I think what we have seen is that sometimes people just create the APIs. They just share the, like you said, they just share the open API spec with the world, and say that, okay, this is spec, this is the Swagger UI. Now you need to figure it out. But in reality, the end users, they don't care, right? They don't want to spend a ton of time thinking about how to integrate or how to get started, right? So probably you're probably much better off hiring a content person who can probably just simplify those things and put it in a state where the end users can actually consume it really, really easily. And and that's not possible if your documentation is heavily tied to a GitHub based workflow that this content people do not have access to. And which is, I think Fazal covered it well, but that is probably one of the benefits of Hashnode, that you don't need to build a lot. You just
Yeah,
need
and content team
yeah,
don't understand the markdown. Content team don't understand the git push. They need an
exactly.
editor where I can just click Notion style editor where I can write the things directly and can hit the save button. That's what they need.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. and think about the collaboration part, right? Writing on a Google Doc, exporting the content as Word file, sharing it on Slack, getting feedback from founders, other team members, combining all of those feedback. It's a hassle. What if we can get all of those collaborative features inside your editor itself? So that is again another big problem that we're solving with this new documentation product.
That's awesome, man. So, Sandeep, this question to you. How much AI did you use while building this documentation product?
Okay, I think I think it must be quite a lot. I mean, all of our engineers they just use Copilot, and I think a significant portion of the stuff would have been uh, built using AI to some extent, not necessarily the actual bits of code, but at least the thought process or creating with some sort of architecture or a system design or some other stuff. The team must have used Copilot extensively in those areas. But yeah, I mean, we all of us are big fans of AI, and we're not one of those companies that resist AI. We just embrace it, and we think that is the way to go. And eventually, no matter how much harder you try, eventually the market will make sure that people use AI and move faster.
Yes.
Okay. I
One
have one
area,
more. Yeah, go ahead. Please go
I'll
ahead.
just add here, Hitesh. So one area where we are using AI is the productivity boost. So as Sandeep said, right? So writing the first bit of function architecture, right? So those are the areas where developers are moving faster internally, not only at Hashnode but across the industry. So earlier, what used to take them 3 days of time or 4 days of time, they're able to uh, write those code in one day or half day. So there's definitely a productivity boost with all this Copilot and Cursor and other tools.
Yeah, I also need to add something here. I mean, we talk about writing functions and things like that, but where AI also helps is detecting bugs. Sometimes there are sometimes really hard to detect bugs that you don't do not get an answer to anywhere. Sometimes AI helps with that. Sometimes you just give it the context, the code. Sometimes it's able to find it out and save you hours of web surfing.
Oh, man. One thing I would say and add here is what I think from a beginner's perspective who is looking forward to use, let's just say, Discord documentation. Discord documentation is crazy
Yeah.
big. If you read their APIs and stuff, it's like crazy big. And what I would think would be like an awesome thing for any beginner is, let's just say there is a documentation page, and eventually we will reach to a point where every single documentation page, every single website will have a chatbot which
Yeah.
is trained on their internal data and something. And what I'm saying is, why is it not there that every documentation page has some kind of LLM trained on that, and I have a chatbot and I can ask a question like, how can I add some data to the database, or how can I ping this API, or how can I do this? And it doesn't just point me, it actually gets all this context and give me the exact function that this is how you can actually integrate that, how you can do that. Where is that? When do you see it's coming up? I want to see that.
Yeah. So you will definitely find this AI-based search functionality on all Google support docs. So bigger enterprises are already using their own models to enhance their support docs. But one big problem that we're seeing in the market or across the products is that they are relying heavily on third-party tools. So there are many AI chatbot tools which are available on the web today. But the problem there is constant updating of your documentation. It's a hassle. So if you're using a third party a product, you have to constantly supply them with the updated content in your documentation. So that's one of the biggest trouble that companies are facing today. The second one is their choice of LLM. Most of these chatbot tools are using OpenAI, ChatGPT behind the scene. So companies would want to use models like Llama or Claude, some other models, but they're not able to do that. So I think there are some good AI chatbots which are able to produce good quality answers, but these two big hurdles is what's stopping most of the companies to adopt to these tools. Plus the fact that they have to do it in house, spend 4 to 6 weeks of time they deviate from their main roadmap and build something which wouldn't impact their main product, right? So that is what is stopping smaller or small scale companies from adopting this.
I would love to see that. It would be so easy if there is a chatbot for, let's just say, app write, how to add data to the app write, or if there is a chatbot on, oh man, that would be so awesome. Gosh, if we have a chatbot on FFmpeg, oh man, that understands the whole documentation and context. And I just ask it, hey, I want to convert a 4K video into a streamable 720p, and it gives me the exact command that this is, oh man, that would be a dream come true. Because currently, FFmpeg is the greatest product in the market, but the documentation is just a nightmare, and it's so much grown so much that I don't think so now it's even manageable to either rewrite it. The only thing we can do is just train a chatbot on top of that. So yeah, that would be a dream. I use FFmpeg a lot. We use it in-house and in our company and a whole lot of places as well. I am obsessed with FFmpeg. That is one I would love to see more improvement, but the creators and the maintainers are doing such an awesome job there that, hey, asking anything on top of this would be illegal. Why? How can you ask? They are doing so much of the groundwork and you are asking more. I don't have that capacity. So a couple of more questions. Sandeep, what it takes to build a new product? How does the system design looks like? Because there is a lot of talk on the system design on the YouTube and stuff. I would love to hear some of the thoughts directly from the CTO and somebody who's building a product that is at a scale. A couple of challenges that you see when you're designing these kinds of system, what the things you say that, hey, we should avoid that, because everybody knows what to do. I want to now mention more of the things like what not to do. And in life also I figured out, just figure out what not to do and you're on the track. So tell us some what not to do as a system design in building such a docs product.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the most important thing that all of us, all of our engineers, that they keep in mind is that there are only two ways to do things. That is, one is the number one is the fastest way. Number two is the right way. So we always choose the right way. We don't necessarily take the fastest way to do things, even though we want to move fast. Our culture says that move fast, break things. But when designing something, designing an architecture or laying the foundation of a new tool like documentation tool, we take a lot of time to think about the scale part, even though we don't have the scale right now. But what does the scale look like from 6 months from now? We don't, I mean, when we started building the docs product, we hardly had any teams that have more than five members. Or let's talk about Hashnode blogs. When we started the blogging platform, when we launched team publications, we didn't have a lot of teams that would have more than 10 members. But we knew that eventually we'll have many teams that will have thousands of members. For example, right now we have Pre-Code Camp using Hashnode to scale their publication. They have thousands of authors and blog posts. So the number one thing that we usually do is that when we design these models, when we design the system, we factor that part in, that how big this can become. And if we are at that point where somebody has, let's say, thousands of members, will the current architecture hold up? So if the answer is no, then we redo that bit, and we take time and we spend enough time doing the architecture diagrams using, we have a subscription of Excalibur, where our platform engineers, they spend a lot of time in person to create those diagrams and discuss those. And we have multiple iterations, multiple calls. And only when we all agree that this architecture can actually survive when after we go from 0 to 1, then only we agree, and then we execute and we start building. So the actual building part is the easiest part, but the whole process of going from 0 to 1, where you can actually build, that is the most important thing. And I think, in my opinion, that is the most important part. You have to spend a lot of time there.
Thinking is the most difficult part, as they say. Building is not. We know how to write the code, and eventually we'll figure it out. And what people don't understand about the system design is everything is right in system design. There is no such thing as wrong. You just have to argue enough with the valid points that, hey, my points are just a tiny bit more than your points.
Yeah.
I think that's how we have built, and I think that's what goes in your team as well.
Yeah, I think the other important bit is to create a culture where there is no ego inside the team. People leave ego at the doors, and only the best ideas should win. It doesn't matter where that idea comes from, but as long as it's the best idea, that wins.
And the best way to learn about the system design is build that thing out and get it out from your local host to actually an URL, not
Yeah,
just those .warcell app URL, a real domain where people can sign up and use your product, and you will figure out that how good your idea is. It looks good in your head, it always
yeah,
does, but when it goes out, do people actually want this product? And once they want it, have you done a good job to keep them engaged? Is it a good product? And I think that is a best portfolio project as well. People keep on asking, what should I build? You don't build anything. You just build what you are facing the problem. Give me a better version of whatever you are facing wrong in that. Okay.
yeah.
What extra as an infrastructure, was that a requirement in the docs, or you used existing whole things? Because like I would say 90% of the part you already had in the hash node. It was just all a matter of fact, like we are unassembling it and assembling it again to look it better, because editor part was already there, the headless part was already there, the subdomain part was already there. Uh,
Yeah.
what extra you have built, what new was built in the docs? I would love to know that, because this is also a great engineering and business side of it, that you have a product, now you want to build something new and you have already majority of the parts, and
Yeah.
that's really good. I think beginners can learn a lot. You have built a project in which auth was there and everything there. Use those things, reuse them, you reutilize that. It's not just about a component level reutilization. This time it's a feature level reutilization. So Sandeep, you or Fazal, you want to take this? I'm curious about it.
I'll let
Yeah.
Sandeep go first.
Yeah, I'll take this one. Yeah. Um, so yeah, we actually were able to reuse a lot of the stuff on docs. For example, one thing that we just reused is the custom domain part, right? As a part of the blog, we built a feature that can have millions of custom domains and issue SSL certificates for them automatically, so that we can serve all of those millions of custom domains over HTTPS. So that part was just readily utilized on docs without any changes. The CDN that edge caches stuff, so that you get content from your nearest location. Even we were able to reuse most bits from there. So the areas where we had to redo some stuff is actually the editor, right? I mean,
Oh,
it
interesting.
may, yeah, it may seem that the editor was actually done and we could actually just reuse it, but the number one thing that we changed for docs is that we shifted from Markdown to MDX for docs. On blog side, if you go to the editor, it's actually Markdown. It's Markdown backed. We store the underlying storage is Markdown. But for docs, we understand that a lot of the customers will want to have their own custom components, because that's the fastest way. Otherwise, they'll always have to come back to us and ask us to build something. There will always be the case where we don't support certain component. So we thought, why don't we just go ahead and change the underlying storage for docs to MDX, so that in future we can easily let these customers build their custom React component and just use it inside Hashnode's editor or from GitHub if they're using GitHub Sync. And which is why we spent a considerable amount of time introducing this concept of MDX. And we also built a lot of new custom blocks inside our slash commands. So if you go to Hashnode docs now, if you just use slash command, you will see a bunch of advanced blocks that only apply to docs. For example, cards, card groups, tabs, code groups. All of these things, they are not present on blocks, but they are on the docs. So we built a lot of stuff in there, and we already had collaborative editing, inline review comments. So those bits were we're just able to reuse over here. But yeah, we spent quite a bit of time rebuilding those underlying data storage for docs. And apart from that, the thing that we invested time was new GraphQL APIs. So in blogs, we have a bunch of GraphQL APIs, and our front end just talks to those APIs, which is why we were able to release the headless mode. Um, but on docs, we also want to have the same options available. So we built a lot of GraphQL queries and mutations new from the ground up just to support the docs product. And we just offer those APIs to the users. it's an alpha preview, the headless mode for the docs. But eventually, when we launch the headless mode, all of these APIs will be available to be consumed from any front end. Um, so yeah, so those bits where we had to build again, but again the system design, the data models, ensuring that everything scales, that took a lot of time. But yeah, in a nutshell, that is the
Yeah.
gist.
And also in terms of user experience, Hitesh, how you come to use Hashnode for blog is completely different on the doc side as well. So on the blog side, it's always one content at a time. So you write one draft and hit publish. But on the documentation side, you have a group of pages called guides. Then there are pages and sub pages inside. We have to enable users to publish all of them together. There has to be an architecture for versioning and forking from an older version as well. So these are some newer experiences which took us some time to port the existing components to Hashnode docs. And apart from that, one thing that we missed out is the API references. So something which was completely new to our architecture was the ability to copy an open API spec URL, get it to Hashnode, and Hashnode generates a rich API playground for you instantly. So your team doesn't have to use Swagger Playground, which doesn't look like anything. You are actually getting a rich API playground where your users can enter values, click on run button, see the code samples in 20 plus programming languages. So these were also one of the biggest challenges which we have to build from scratch.
I would definitely love to try this out. We have an open source project free API, and we have been lagging on writing the better docs into it. Now we are deploying entire team into this. I would love to try Hashnode and see the playgrounds and especially our use cases and all of that. The whole product was designed just to help beginners to learn about the APIs, how to handle, because when you go directly on the tutorials, it's not easy to handle APIs, and especially when you go in like the basic CRUD APIs, it's okay. But the moment you start talking about how the tokens will be handled, how the gzip will be handled, how the broadly will be handled, I think this is a necessary information for beginners, which is less talked, and you need to do it practically in your favorite programming language, whatever it is. So we built a product with that, but we always lagged in writing better documentation and having a better playground on it. I think now it's time that I need to team up with you guys and push news on that. And as rightly said by one of the comments in the live stream as well, I'm pretty sure people will be watching this live stream later in the night. Nobody watches it in the afternoon. So he says that Next.js wouldn't be Next.js without their awesome docs. So I think there is a lot of learning here, that if Next.js are the benchmark of creating the better docs and awesome docs, and they kind of nailed it down from everybody else. And I think better than the React team as well. They hit it out of the park. And if you can make your framework really popular like Next.js, the whole credit goes to their docs. After that, everything comes up. So you realize how important the docs are.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Also Stripe, right? Stripe is also a great benchmark in terms of what kind of
every developer, you'll see every developer praising about, even Razorpay as well, Indian grown, homegrown startup.
They're also amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, their documentation is state of the art. Everybody says, hey, it's really well. Definitely could be improved at some places where the flows are there, but I think the benchmark is there, and obviously we can always raise the bar. Okay, couple of more questions. Sandeep, how does it look like to push the things on the product end as well? By the way, those who don't know, we Hashnode has just released things in the product end as well. You'll find the link on the website as well on the Hashnode, I guess.
Yeah, on our Twitter and on LinkedIn and Hashnode as well.
Yeah, I'll push it on the Discord as well. By the way, all those Discord members who are there, I'll push you the link as well. Go ahead, show them some support. Really, if we are not going to support our own, who we are going to support also. It doesn't cost you any money. Go on the product hunt, give them an upvote, give them a feedback in some comments and something. And definitely, it's going to be the #1 in the chart for sure. I'm really looking forward for that. Okay, before we wrap up, a couple of questions just from both of your side. First of all, Fazal, I want to ask you, a lot of people are looking forward for the jobs, and they look for that, hey, I want to build this product, what product to showcase, how to build my portfolio. If you could have give them one advice that, hey, I don't need 1,000 products or projects in your portfolio, one or something. What advice you can give that it's really simple, do this, and you will make your chances of getting seen much higher or getting hired much higher? One advice, simple one.
Definitely. So, build in public is something that I would want everyone who is looking for better opportunities today. Go out there. Today is the best chance to use all the AI tools to make the best projects faster. If you can't leverage all the tools that are available today, there wouldn't be a better time. Go out, build a project, release it, write about it on your own portfolio, on your own personal blog, because yeah, there has been a lot of hype around SEO is dead, but it's not. SEO still survives. And there are newer kinds of SEO like AI chatbot SEO. We are definitely seeing some traction from all the AI chatbots as well. So, whatever you know, make sure the world knows as well.
I would add a little on top of this. Whatever you're building, write about it. Because when you
Yes.
write about it, you can talk about it. Most people can build but cannot talk about their product. And that makes the potential hiring partner sees like, this guy might have just borrowed this project from a GitHub or something. But if you are building it up and you can write about it, that means your technical communication is strong and is on point. So go ahead, write about it, and then you will be able to talk about it. So go ahead and build that. Next question to Sandeep, final one for you. AI, it's the talk of the town. It's the talk of the town for the products, for the VCs, for the fundings. It's everywhere. People are afraid of it, that AI is taking the jobs. Founders are using it like, hey, we can build more products, we can build it, we can ship it fast. A lot of people are happy. A lot of people are going in other direction. It's all bad. It's all gonna take the job. It's a whole confusing environment. People are worried. Should I even be learning to code now? AI can do this. Evolution is also there. I talked in one of the video that we used to punch cards, then we used to write assembly, then we used to write C, and now I can just do things in Python. And a lot of people have called that you are not a real programmer. You write in Python. You are not a real programmer. You write in JavaScript. And this is real programming is all about assembly. Real programming is all about C. There's the eventual graduation always happening. What's your thought on this AI graduation that's happening in the world? One thought, one advice to the beginners.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, at least in my opinion, I think you should not resist AI, but you should probably embrace it. Because I don't think anyone is going to lose their job because of AI. Look at what happened when we had computers for the first time in India. Many people thought that they're going to lose their jobs. But eventually, what happened is that they were graduated to solve higher and complex problems instead of solving boring and mundane tasks, right? And one example that I also gave yesterday on a podcast, that on Hashnode itself, we have a large language model trained on our historical spam data, so that all of the spam activities, they're now automatically being cleaned up by a spam bot, right? And we don't spend a lot of time. A platform like Hashnode receives a lot of spam every day, thousands of spam content. So if we have a community manager look at it every day, we'll waste a lot of time. But look at how much time we're able to save now, because we use a large language model that is trained on the past historical data. So my advice will be that embrace AI, ensure that you are using AI to your advantage and are able to move 10x faster than before. Anyone who is not using AI is going to be replaced by someone who is using AI to their advantage. So be the smarter version and use AI.
And as awesomely said by one of our viewer here, Devendra, he says, chase problems, not the frameworks and technologies. Oh man,
Yeah,
well put out.
well put out. And he's also from Hashnode team.
Oh, nice. So turns out your team is now free, that the product is out there. They can relax, chill out, watch a stream during the lunch hour. Oh man, that's good.
Absolutely not. I think Dave
Yeah, the only job
has some active task. I think he's going to improve the collaborating performance by 10x.
He's collaborating with us here, so I think he's on point.
But I think he's done. He's probably done with his task. That's why he's here.
Ah man,
but the
typical
team
CTO
is
job.
still willing.
Always looking for, oh, the task was there. Ah man, typical CTO job. Good
But the
man.
team
But
is super excited, Hitesh. We are coming out of a new coming out with a new product after since our initial launch, and we're very excited. Everyone is definitely relieved. We are constantly monitoring product hunt page and looking at all the bugs. We raising a new ticket internally, making the new roadmap for the next week onwards.
oh man, awesome. So yeah, definitely. I'm also excited, and I'll post the links on the Discords, and you can check out on the Twitter of the Hashnode as well. There will be definitely a pinned comment on the product hunt, and from my side also, go ahead, give them an upvote, show them some love and support, and definitely we'll bring in more such conversation, which gives you a deep dive of how a product is being built, what the industry leaders are thinking about the AI evolution, and what all is happening with that. I think that's all what we're going to do. We'll keep it nice and short, and definitely we'll keep on bringing up more such content. So don't log out, Sandeep and Fazal. We need to talk a little bit more on that. I'll just start the stream now. So thank you so much. Share this stream with everyone. There is a lot of inside information and conversation that's happening up here. It's a good share. Share it on Twitter, LinkedIn, tag me up, tag Sandeep, and definitely build in public. That's the whole idea.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.